Well, hello there, my dear children of the apocalypse. How are we doing today? Welcome back to our 52 weeks of self-improvement and welcome to Dubai. I want to tell you everything that I learned from my recent trip to this bustling, rich city in the United Arab Emirates. First of all, I went there for free. In fact, I got paid to do that. And all of it because I took a slight chance and decided to apply to an Instagram ad. So I'll tell you all about it. Let's crack into it. I was driving to work a couple of weeks back, and at one of the red lights, I was scrolling through my Instagram feed or looking at stories from my friends. And as you know, Instagram is full of ads, and most advertisements that I tend to get are pretty bad. But this advertisement, for whatever reason, caught my attention because it said Slovenian-speaking actors, Dubai, paid everything, and I was like, oh, you know what, let me take a chance. So I opened the website, and I was expecting some kind of complicated application process, like send us all of your previous work, or this, or CV, and it was nothing. It was just, name, surname, email, and phone number, and your WhatsApp. I was like, whatever. I typed it in before the light turned green, and off I was. And I didn't think much of it. And then about a couple of weeks back, I get a DM on WhatsApp from a woman who does the whole casting thing, and she's like, hey, if you're still interested, we'd love to give you a very short text, and you're going to read it in this format and send it back to us within 10 minutes. We're going to judge it, see if it's good, and we'll take it from there. And I was like, yeah, no problem. I'll be home in a couple of minutes. And I did the shoot they wanted, memorized the text, spoke to the camera. Literally was the same thing as this setup right here. So to me, it was, second nature. So I send it, and within a couple of hours, she gets back and she tells me like, okay, acting skills, I think 8.5 out of 10, and text was 10 out of 10, and I'm sending it forward, but I think you'll be accepted. And I was like, right, great. So what happened was that in the week that I went to Bratislava, I went to see the Lindemann concert there. I had a little week planned out, I was going to just drive there with my car. And now this woman reaches out and she's like, you'll be flying to Dubai in like 2 days' time. And I'm really confused now. I'm sort of like, I'm feeling some of the pressure because this is a bit last minute. I didn't prep for this. I wasn't prepared for it. And so I talked to her and I'm like, look, I've got this trip to Slovakia that I want to do. And she's like, yeah, no problem. We'll buy you a plane ticket from Dubai to Bratislava. You're going to catch your concert and all that. And I was like, I started thinking about it. I go reading into the contract they gave and like look at the details, and I'm having some second thoughts. And then I remember that I don't have a passport, and you can't go from Europe to Dubai without one. So I messaged her and I'm like, look, I'm sorry, I don't have a passport right now. I won't be able to do the shoot. And she says, no problem, you can do it again in 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, game on. So I went to Bratislava, I did the concert, fantastic, great experience, great vibes. When I drove back, I got my passport made, and when I received it, I messaged her again. I was like, hey, look, I've got the passport. Let's proceed from here. And this is where I started to have a couple of doubts. Namely, now I don't know how much information I can reveal. I'm not going to reveal much information, but this was a Russian company, okay? And I've worked with particularly 2 Russian companies in the past. One of them was Gaijin with War Thunder, and the other one was the Free Golden Eagles app. The worst. I'm going to play out the possible scenarios, and I'm not going to think about what is the best thing that can happen. Rather, I'm going to think what is the worst thing that can happen. Like, am I going to end up in a jail in Dubai? Am I end up getting, stranded in the middle of nowhere? Am I going to get robbed? Am I going to get, beaten up? Am I going to get all my money stolen? Am I going to get into trouble because of some scam? So I thought about all these things that could possibly go wrong. And to give you the context, this is a shooting that's supposed to be done in Dubai. So you go there, you're there for 2 days. Both of the days you're doing shooting. I don't know what type of shooting. Obviously, it's some type of advertisement, but I didn't really have any information on what it was going to be. And there was going to be 2 people. There was going to be me, and there was going to be another actor coming along. So one person has the main role, and one person has the side role. At the moment that she was buying me tickets for the plane and buying me tickets for the hotel, I didn't even know which role I would be having. So I was supposed to have my flight on Sunday afternoon, And Saturday evening, so just about a day prior, she sends me the booking confirmation for the flight and the booking confirmation for the hotel. And this is the moment where I sort of sat down and I was like, okay, you need to think this through and you really need to make a good decision on whether or not you're actually going to Dubai. Now, with work, it wasn't a problem. Getting 3 days of vacation, not an issue whatsoever. What was the issue is, what if things don't go the way they're supposed to go? What if things don't go planned? What if something goes really, really wrong? So I sat down and I thought to myself and I said, okay, what are the critical control points? What are the things that could absolutely make or break this trip? Number one, I came up with 4 of them, but number one, the plane just isn't there. So I drive to the airport, I try to go onto the plane, and they're just like, yeah, this ticket is non-valid. That was my first worry. Realistically, this was the least problematic one because it doesn't really waste any of my time, and it probably isn't going to happen because I would assume they're going to, the tickets are legit. Number 2 was the hotel, which means I arrive there with this other actor. We are both staying in the same hotel room, and this was kind of a mixture of things, but I was, problem is if this guy's a weirdo, problem is if the hotel that we're being booked is really bad, problem is if there's something, wrong within the hotel or maybe the taxi drive there or whatever. So the hotel was number 2. Number 3 was the actual shoot. What if we're not paid for it? What if the environment in which we're shooting isn't good? What if it's just an uncomfortable type of scenario? Again, a lot of doubts. And then the 4th one, which I thought was the last one that wasn't that critical, but it kind of was, and that was getting out of the country. Meaning, when we get back to the airport, are those plane tickets still going to be there? What if something in between goes wrong? What if number 2 and number 3, critical control points, go bad, and we're left stranded because they've cancelled the tickets? After playing all this from my head, I looked at the booking, because now she sent me the booking confirmation for the hotel. I type it into Google, I have a look at the pictures, I have a look at the reviews. I've obviously, I've finished school for hospitality. I know quite a lot about tourism, a lot about hotels, restaurants. I know fake reviews when I see them. And when I looked at this hotel, when I saw the pictures, when I saw the bathroom, I started to get serious case of stomach, just like, this is not okay. This looks like a Bangladesh prison rather than a hotel in Dubai. And so I was fully prepared that my second critical control point was in fact going to be triggered immediately upon us arriving into Dubai. But, if you've watched the last video, we spoke about religion, we spoke about belief, we spoke about sort of taking chances. To me, when I sort of calculated the underlying risk, what it came down to was this. Best case scenario, I'm going to Dubai. I'm going to see a big, massive city that otherwise I perhaps would never visit on my own volition because I just don't want to be spending that kind of money. I am going to be learning how to shoot advertisements. I'll be working and meeting new people. I will be getting experience. I'll be getting references. I'll be getting paid for it. And the worst possible scenario is that I have a one-way paid ticket to Dubai. And that's where I draw the line. And I said, fuck it, let's do it. Because the worst case that happens is I get to the airport, I get to the hotel, I turn around, I get to the shoot is bad, I turn around, and then I either spend 2 days going about Dubai, just trying to survive spending as little money as possible, and then hope the plane ticket is still legit, or I legitimately just book a ticket to the first city that is cheapest, and preferably, maybe I'll be able to fly in a A380 or a Boeing 747. I wouldn't mind splurging that kind of money. It's an experience. I took it as a journey. I took it upon me, incumbent, that what this is an opportunity for me to get a story. And that story will be worth way more than any potential risk acquired along the way when I'm talking to my grandkids, when I'm talking to friends, or when I'm talking to you. And what I ended up learning from this trip was so much more. In fact, so much that the last week video on religion, I almost wanted to not upload it and make it a 35-minute video of just talking about the experience of going to Dubai. Because it is related to religion, because it is related to something happened there, a part of me got a confirmation that the path that I'm currently on is the correct path. What ended up happening is I met a lot of people. Yes, we worked with the Russians. I spent time in an Indian hotel. I was driven around by Bangladeshi and Pakistani taxi drivers. I went to a Pakistan and Lebanese restaurant. I saw a part of Dubai that most people don't get to see. I got to interact with people that, sitting here in my home country, even with the power of the internet, I would never get access to. The wisdoms that was spoken, particularly by one taxi driver, it was so deep that the only regret I have is not recording it, is not having recorded that conversation. And now it lives in my head, and I'm going to do my best to put it onto a piece of paper, try to make it into a blog post or some type of post. Because what the taxi driver said that resounded so strongly with me is he said, there's two things in life. He said, there's need and there's want. And then he started rambling and talking and comparing, and you learn how he works 12-hour days so that his family back in Pakistan can get the money. That his wife is, rejoiced when he buys her, very cheap clothes for, 100 dirhams, which is like 20, 25 euros or dollars. That there's this contentment that these people have. Even though they're poor and they don't have much, he's content with what he has. And there was this energy that he was creating. The trip in a lot of ways for me was stressful. I barely slept. The first hotel was in fact a critical control point. It was in fact equivalent to a Bangladesh bloody prison. It was horrendous. I had to do so much negotiation. I had to. I spoke more Russian than I spoke English during that time. It was an experience all throughout. I ate some delicious food. I got to walk through one of the most incredible cities that was grown in the middle of a desert. At the same time, I learned to hate this type of just concrete jungle and this poshness and the fakeness of so many of the people. I saw the cultures, I saw the energy, and it's so bizarre that a trip that lasted 2.5 days, that I've been so sleep deprived that I barely remember much of it, or it's hard for me to really realize that I was in fact there, and I was in fact walking and visited so many different places. But the experience that I got, the overall energy that this trip has given me, the passion from my heart, and there was a moment when we were returning. I was standing on the bus. Obviously, the Dubai airport is one of those big airports where you actually need a bus that drives for 15, 20 minutes to get you from your terminal to your plane. I was sitting there, I had my headphones on, noise cancelling. I was listening to, I think, the Skyrim soundtrack. And that was the first time that I got within a couple of steps of a Airbus A380. As you know, I'm a huge aviation fan. And as I was standing there, just looking and realizing that I am departing from this city, I'm departing from this adventure, I'm departing from this journey. I was so close to that plane, I started actually tearing up. And I realized just how blessed I was, just how easy and privileged my life is. How a year ago I was standing here in front of this camera, feeling depressed, feeling miserable because I'd left a relationship, because I left work, because I didn't know what to do with my life, because that was privileged. Depression is privilege. These emotions that we feel, these first world problems, these are all privileges. And sometimes all you have to do is just take a step back. Have a look at how bad some other people have it. And I've written it down into my quotes, into my rules, that no matter what the emotion it is I'm feeling, whether I'm happy or sad or angry or miserable, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be feeling those things. That everything that happens to me from this point on should be blessed. No matter how positive, no matter how negative, it's blessed. I see a beauty in belief now. Whether you equate it to religion, whether you equate it to energy or ions or whatever it might be, I think life is so much more beautiful if everything that happens to you is blessed. If you take it as if it is blessed, you accept it and you go on with it. I look back at my trip on Dubai, and if I was to give you a list of all the things that went bad, all the things that went good, there were more things that were bad. There were more things that were stress-filling. There were more things that were frustrating. And I think my old self, me before I went to Dubai, me a year ago, would have hated that trip. But because I approached it with an open heart, with an open mind, because I was willing to accept, willing to be blessed, it was one of the most amazing trips of my life. And I only hope that I can go back there. I only hope that I can have more taxi drives, more conversations with these people, to learn even more about their culture, to try more of the delicious food, to learn from them, to give back to them. Something in me clicked, and I didn't expect it. Yes, I did go to Dubai with an open mindset. I went there sort of accepting these riches of adventure. I did not know what it would be like. And the more that I think about it, the more I want to emphasize that if you do have the opportunity to travel, please do. Not in first class, not in 5-star hotels, not in limousines and expensive transportation options. Try to go budget. I spent most of my time in Dubai walking with a suitcase in my hand, talking to people, trying to haggle for the lowest price of the cab, trying to learn about what they do, trying to learn about where they come from, trying to learn about their adversities, because you will realize just how easy you have it, just how rich and wealthy most of us really are. And I really will look back at this trip as one of the best decisions that I made, not just this year, but in my life. And I want to have more of these trips, and I want to connect with something, because there was a moment, there were several moments on this trip where I really felt something in me. And I can only describe it as an energy, whether you want to call it God, or as Marcus Aurelius said, the universe, or just mumbo jumbo, crystal energy, ion bullshit, whichever storyline you want to go with. I felt it. And I know that I'm blessed. I know that most of you watching this are blessed. The fact that you have access to the internet, that you have access to this video, you are blessed. Maybe your tooth ache today. You're blessed because you have access to a doctor. Perhaps you had an injury. Perhaps you have an incurable disease. Perhaps you have pain in your heart. Perhaps you lost your cat like I did. All of these things are blessed. They may not be all positive or all negative, but you're blessed to be able to witness them, experience them, live them. I think life as a whole is a blessing. And if you live it that way, it becomes much more fulfilling, much happier, and much more content. And I'm going to keep repeating these words inside my head over and over again until I've internalized it. Because the past couple of days have been more beautiful, more bountiful, and more positive for me than the entire year combined. And I want to continue with that mentality. So for today, all I want to give to you is a blessing. The positivity and the realization that the chances of me and you sitting here, or standing, or listening, or watching, are slim to none. And the fact that we are doing this, we are blessed. And so until next time, take care and safe flight.